As the storm moves, it's going to head right toward Buoy Basocks and 197 and 301. So if you're trying to get into southern Maryland by 301 or Route 5, I'd wait. Again, you'll have to wait about 20 or 30 minutes before the storm passes. It gets moving off to the south and east at about 25 miles per hour. That said, please wait. Just not worth getting on the roads at this point in time. It's just not. Let me go back and kind of reset. And really, once this passes, we're pretty much done. I think we're going to see a repeat tomorrow. And in fact, storms are possible all this week. This is the most tropical air mass we've had all of late spring and so far in summer. We've been kind of lucky so far. It's kind of run out now. So there is the severe thunderstorm warning, which still includes parts of Prince George's County and also parts of Arundel County. And wrapped inside of that, in the red area, that is the tornado warning. So again, where do these storms go? Futurecast has these moving out quickly. I mean, by 7:30, they're gone. They're across the bay. Maybe we get an isolated sprinkle tonight, but for the most part, we're okay. Once this rolls through, and then by tomorrow morning, things start to fire up again. So what do we do when we have a tornado warning? We want you to go into a hall or into a basement if you can. I mean, that's the best place to go, or an interior bathroom. You still want to be away from windows, okay? Even if you have windows in the basement, you still want to be away from the windows at all time. But if you're in this warning in Prince George's County and Arundel County, we want you to sort of take precautions and just go there now. In terms of storm reports, not a bunch so far. We had a wind gust of 46 miles per hour south of La Plata, but right now we are still looking at essentially just this one area. And this is the warning. Again, it is for Prince George's County and Arundel County until 5:45. Caitlin.
Topper, I just want to show you some radar data we're keeping a close eye on right now. We want to show you that velocity. That's what shows us rotation within these storms. And right now we are seeing a very good velocity couplet. So meaning there is some pretty significant rotation being detected on radar right around Buoy. I did just pull up a map to see what's in the area, and this is over a fairly developed area right by the Lowe's Home Improvement in the Buoy area. There's a Chick-fil-A there, Home Depot. Right near Buoy Town Center is where we're seeing the strongest rotation right now. So I do want to time this out and show you when you can expect this storm, if it holds together, to move into your area. Again, this tornado is in effect until 5:45 this evening, working its way to the south and east, eventually closer to Hall. This is right near the Buoy Basocks, as Topper was mentioning, around 5:33. So you have about 5 minutes to seek shelter if you are in the area, heading toward Pointer Ridge Elementary School if there are any camps in the area. All right, you want to take it over, Topper?
They just confirmed it. Yep.
All right. You can take it away, Topper.
Well, I mean, you can continue, but this just came in, and they do have a confirmed tornado over Buoy. So,
okay,
go ahead and go through these because these are vital. These areas are vital. Go ahead and go through them.
Yeah, go right ahead. Pointer Ridge Elementary School, again, 5:36. If you are in the area, if you are in that neighborhood, you need to seek shelter. If you have loved ones in the area, call them right now. They'll tell them to get in that space, a small interior room. Davidsonville Park, 5:37. You have just a few more minutes to find your shelter. Fairhaven School Elementary School, 5:40, and moving into Queen Anne around 5:40 as well. So let's take you back to radar, show you where exactly we are seeing the center of this rotation. And again, this is a confirmed tornado. You need to seek shelter immediately if you are in the area. And there you can see it right there. We talk about this all the time with tornado warnings. A little hook echo. This is right over 301 where it meets Route 50 there, just to the west of Buoy Basocks. So if you are in the area, you need to seek shelter. We'll zoom out a little bit more so again you can get an idea of where this is going. This is the tornado warning that is in effect until 5:45 for a confirmed tornado on the ground. Let's get the warning back here so you can see exactly where we're talking about. It includes parts of Anne Arundel and Prince George's County from Buoy. That's where we have that tornado on the ground right now, but it is heading towards Queen Anne. Topper?
Yeah, okay, and remember that, well, a couple of things here. We do have it confirmed now, and that little hook echo just to the south of Buoy is a telltale sign. And also, sometimes these storms they take a little right turn. So if you're anywhere in the Buoy area and then south of the Buoy Base Ox, we need you to take cover, because we're looking at the potential for this to, at the very least, produce some big-time winds and a possible tornado. I mean, we have one confirmed very near Buoy. So anyone, stay off of 301. Don't try to outrun this. Never try to do that in your car. Again, that continues until 5:45. And let's go ahead and let's put the scope back on here, because this is really telltale of where the highest winds could be. And yeah, right now, they're a little east of Buoy now. They're around 197, so they're about to go over 301. This is not quite as definitive as what we were talking about earlier, but this is still a serious situation as it crosses over 301, especially around Queen Anne. So if any of these ring a bell, or you know someone in these areas, please tell them to take cover immediately. This is a very serious situation. We'll go ahead and track it for you. And again, it's pretty populated, as Caitlin mentioned. We're going to take it a little bit away from Buoy, okay? We'll take it, maybe we'll take it just a little bit from, hang on one second, we'll take it a little bit east of Buoy and southeast of Buoy. It's moving at about 25 miles an hour. It's not screaming across the area, but we are still looking at places like Queen Anne and points south and east, down 301, even over toward 214. That is a possibility. Could still have 60, 70 mile per hour winds with this tornado warning. If it doesn't become, as it stops rotating, could still produce some damaging winds. So hopefully everybody in this area has, put their umbrella down, taken precautions, and gone into a shelter, or the best place where you can go in terms of trying to find a shelter in your house. And you should have a plan, okay? You really should have a plan for where to go in this particular situation, because this is pretty serious. And we're going to let me just go back home for just a second, and we'll kind of widen out. This also may go further south and east. So you folks that are ahead of this in Calvert County and even parts of St. Mary's County, it's also time for you to sort of say, okay, in case they extend this, then I also need to have a plan and also need to be prepared. So I'm going to kind of give you a wider area of this. So again, it's coming out of Prince George's County into Arundel County, and then it's headed toward Shadyside, and eventually could actually clip into portions of Calvert County. So if you're in northern Calvert County, and even if you're south of Shadyside in Arundel County, you still could end up with damaging winds or an EF0, EF1 tornado. So we're trying to keep you so that you can, if you're not in this area and you're like, well, I'm okay. Well, you're not okay if you're actually in the path of this. And I think that is that's the problem, is trying to get ahead of it. And as Caitlin mentioned, call somebody. If you know somebody that's there, call somebody and say, hey, this is coming your way, and this is a serious storm. Could be a tornado, could be tornadic, and it could, at least, you're going to have winds of 60 or 70 miles per hour. So on the storm tracker, yeah, Shadyside, you're in the path at 550, and we'll just see what kind of warning you're under at that point in time. Deal at about 557. And then all the way to North Beach at about 612. And earlier we tracked rainfall rates in here about 2 to 2.5 inches per hour. It doesn't look quite as intense, but notice that notch. That notch is still there, Caitlin. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Topper, it does look like it's pulsing a little bit. It looked like we lost that rotation for just a few radar scans, but it is right back up. Right now, just to the south and east of Buoy, really right over that intersection there, just to the south of the Buoy Base Ox is where we're seeing some pretty significant rotation and at a minimum, some significant wind gusts. We do have meteorologist Michaela Lucero heading in that direction safely, of course. She is still quite a ways away from the Buoy area, but she is going to head that way and check out some of the likely damage for us right now, because we are still seeing a very significant tornado confirmed storm moving through parts of Buoy.
Yeah, we have also the possibility of some hail and also some problems, of course, on the bay in terms of boating as this thing moves off to the south and the east. So boaters need to be aware of that. They got winds about 60 miles per hour from this near Sandy Point over toward North Beach. And that's outside the tornado warning at this point. So this is a very strong storm. Even Crofton, you're outside the warning area, but that's still going to produce rainfall rates about 1 inch per hour, and more than likely some winds up to 40 miles per hour. So this is the notch we talk about, one of the telltale signs. And I think in terms of where we are now is over 301 now, between like 301 and Queen Anne. So if you're in this area, this is kind of what we're concerned about, especially right in, just to the west, say, of Queen Anne, and then to back to the north a little bit. So it may end up just being a severe thunderstorm for the remainder of Anne Arundel County and Calvert County. But I do want to say again, if you're in northern Calvert County, sometimes these turn right a little bit and not continue off to the south and east. They go more south-southeast. And if that is the case, then you could be in the path of this. And heavy storm, yes. Tornadic storm, possible. We've already had it confirmed around the area there, the Buoy area. And we'll kind of zoom in again. So this Buoy, you're probably done with the heavier rains now and the strong winds, but you're not in this area between, say, Buoy and Shady Side. So this box, the red, that's a tornado warning, and then wrapped around that, that is the severe thunderstorm warning. Both go to 5:45. We'll track this for you again, and if we call out some towns and some names, then please take cover. Okay, just go ahead and take cover. So it's headed toward Shady Side at about 6:05, and St. Mary's the Assumption School at about 5:40, which is about 2.5 minutes from now, and eventually toward Deal at about 6:12. And this is, again, right now it's tornadic in this area. It could remain tornadic. If it doesn't, it's still going to produce winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour. There's just no doubt. As we go to the west, though, we don't see much in terms of storms behind this. I think we're okay back toward, it was a couple light showers back toward Fairland and Laurel, but that's it. Once we get through this storm, we're okay. We'll probably do this again tomorrow, maybe not tornadic, and maybe again on Thursday, because we're in this tropical air mass, and it's going to be kind of rinse and repeat. So there's the storm. Again, that is the tornado warning, and that goes until 5:45. So let me zoom in again. Caitlin, any more couplings showing up?
Yeah, Topper, I do just want to send it back over to Max 3 if we can, because I think the strongest part of this storm right now over Queen Anne is actually about to move out of the tornado warning. So if you live south and east of this area, if you're in Dodon, Baynard, West River, Mill Swamp, I would not be surprised if they do extend this tornado warning to include your area, because again, the strongest storm right over Queen Anne right now. So we'll zoom out and time out when you can expect this storm to head in your area. As I mentioned earlier, it's not staying super defined, but it is kind of pulsing up. It's strengthening, and then it's weakening, and then strengthening again. And regardless of whether we're seeing rotation or not, we are seeing a very powerful wind signature on radar. So let's draw this out a little beyond the tornado warning, because if you're in Buoy, you're in the clear. The worst of this storm has cleared out of your area, but we are expecting this storm to move closer to the Harwood area by 5:45, Marriott Hill by 5:45 as well, heading into Greenock closer to 5:50, Southern Middle School around 5:50 as well. So again, if you are in this area, I know there's not a tornado warning, but there is still a very powerful storm heading into that area. There's already a severe thunderstorm warning for this area. Would not be surprised if they do extend the tornado warning into this area as well. So call your loved ones, make a plan now, know where you're going to go if that tornado warning is extended to include your area, a small interior room away from windows. If you can, grab an object to put over your head. A bike helmet is always a safe bet. Anything to protect you and potentially flying debris. We'll send you back to radar here. And again, we are still seeing that pretty signature inflow notch around the Queen Anne area, indicating there might be rotation. But again, it's that velocity data that really shows us where we're seeing that spin in the atmosphere. And right now it does look like it is over Queen Anne, just outside of where we have the current tornado warning that is set to expire at 5:45. But the worst part of this storm just to the south and east of it, really everywhere that's included in that severe thunderstorm warning right now. So as a precaution, I do encourage you to seek shelter if you are in the area in the event that they do extend this tornado warning to include areas off to the south and east. Topper?
Yeah, I mean, good advice, because even if it doesn't remain tornadic, as we've talked about, it's going to produce winds of 60 or 70 miles per hour. So that's something to remember. Once we get through this, we're going to have quiet for a while, but as Caitlin mentioned, let's go ahead and talk about where to go with a tornado. Hallway, interior closet, bathroom, but away from windows. Cover your head mattress for protection. Basement's the best place, yes, but even if you have a walkout basement, you want to be away from windows as well. So have a plan. Now it's time to execute this plan. In terms of storm reports, don't see a bunch. We had some. We did have one wind gust. It was sort of impressive, but not crazy impressive. Down to the south and east of us, and this was earlier today. Okay, so there's the wind gust right now. Now notice they have not put anything out officially, storm reports of the tornado, although they said they've seen one around the Buoy area, but they have not put it out just yet. What do we have? We had some wind gusts here of, I think, 46 miles per hour for this one. 46 miles per hour, Dahlgren, and that was about 207. That was the first round of storms that went through, and then some trees down around the westbound lane along Virginia 205. So that was the only storm reports we have right now. So let me go back here, and let's go back to the home for a second. Yes?
If you live in Buoy, right, and we're looking at this graphic here, and all that red stuff looks to have moved away from Buoy proper, should you still be taking cover?
No, you're fine in Buoy.
Okay.
You're fine. You're fine in Buoy. But, man, you're in Queen Anne. You see where that little notch is? That's where we're really concerned, between Queen Anne and, say, West River. That's probably the most concern. In fact, Buoy right now is even not even raining, Leslie. We're okay in Buoy, which is great. But yeah, if you're off to the south and east, I mean, this is what we're kind of concerned about, is like Buoy, you're okay. It's actually across 301. That's 301. It's across 301 right now. But now if you're like in Shadyside or even northern Calvert County, sometimes these do what we say right turns. If it does a right turn, then it will actually affect Calvert County. And they have not extended this, but, Caitlin makes a very good point. Thunderstorms pulse up and they pulse down, and this could easily pulse up. Now they've taken the warning out, the tornado warning out, and they've just left the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Anne Arundel County and Prince George's County until 6:15. So that is good news for now. I'm not 100% sure that this isn't going to pulse up again and create another, at least Doppler indicated, a tornado. But right now, that's, I guess, the best news we have. I'm going to pull back out a little bit. All right, so here we are. There's the severe thunderstorm warning. Now what I want to do is I want to kind of track it a little bit for you, because it's moving off to the south and east at about 25 miles an hour. So this is probably where the worst of the storm is now, okay? And then we're going to bring it down, even take it across the bay over to Tillman. So Shadyside at 6:02, and then St. Michael's at about 6:48, and then all the way to Easton at about 7:07. And I think the storm itself will hold together. It may not remain tornadic or severe, but you're going to have some heavy downpours. I'm telling you, this is a tropical air mass. It's the most tropical air mass we've had so far in this late spring and early summer. We now have another tornado warning for Anne Arundel County and Prince George's County until 6:30. So this just popped on. So they feel like we do, that it's pulsed down, but it could pulse back up again. So it's moving off at the southeast at about 25 miles an hour. And again, this goes until 6:30. So it includes Anne Arundel County and a little bit of eastern Prince George's County. Let's go ahead and track it again. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. I want to zoom in just a little bit. So I want to talk about some of the areas that are really threatened with this right now. Shadyside, it's on your doorstep. So West River, Marriott Hill, Cumberstone, 468, Route 2, south through Marriott Hill toward a Green Knock. These are places where you could experience damaging winds, certainly heavy rain, and possible tornado in this area. So again, this is new. They've extended it. So now it includes Anne Arundel County and also eastern Prince George's County. Caitlin, get a scope on this for me?
Yeah, absolutely, Topper. If you want to send back over.
I mean, I'll put one up until you can get one. But this is not great. But let's just see where. There's Marriott Hill. Yep.
Yeah,
So-
that's where the worst of the storm is right now, Topper. And again, it's not the rotation that looks super significant right now, but rather a really powerful wind signature, the strongest part of that storm over Marriott Hill. So great call by the National Weather Service to extend this warning until 6:30 to include areas off to the south and east. We'll time it out here with this storm pushing off to the south and east to show you when you need to be in that safe space by, again, this tornado warning until 6:30. Marriott Hill, I hope you're in your safe space right now, a small interior room away from windows. If you have loved ones in the area, now is the time to call them. This storm is moving closer to Sudley at 5:54. Tracy's Landing closer to 6 o'clock. Shady Side, 5:58 is the arrival time for your area. Collins Marine Railway by 5:59 as well. I do want to go through a few reports that we have gotten from the National Weather Service in the meantime. They did say they received a report from a spotter that they saw a funnel cloud near Buoy that was halfway to the ground. We did get a photo from a viewer as well that does show a pretty clear funnel cloud. So again, we are growing increasingly likely that, as the National Weather Service said, this was a confirmed tornado. So again, we're going to try and get that image for you here pretty shortly, but right now we do want to talk about where the strongest part of this storm is right now and where you need to be in shelter. Again, this tornado warning was extended until 6:30 for areas in parts of Anne Arundel and Prince George's County. Right now, the strongest wind being detected right over Marriott Hill, where you see that single strike of lightning. That's that inflow notch we've been talking about. If there is a tornado on the ground, it is there right now. So we do want to zoom in closer, take you street level, moving right over Route 2, heading towards West River around 2:55, pushing off to the south and east, moving toward Lothian, Sudley, Shady Oaks, Cumberstone. If any of these towns sound familiar, you need to be in your safe space right now. We actually have that viewer photo that we can show you now of that likely funnel cloud there on the ground. This was near Buoy. I'll get a little bit more information on where specifically this photo was taken, near Freeway Airport. And again, that's where we were talking about that very defined velocity couplet, that very clear indication on radar that a tornado was on the ground. So this was a viewer photo, thankfully taken from a safe distance. We'll get you back to radar here and show you where the storm is right now and where you need to be seeking shelter. The storm moving off to the south and east relatively slowly as far as a tornado warned storm or severe thunderstorm warning goes, right over Marriott Hill. So again, West River, Lothian, Sudley, Shady Oaks, Cumberstone. Find that safe space right now. Moving closer to Franklin Manor on the Bay, Columbia Beach here. All of those areas also included in this tornado warning deal. You're included in this tornado warning as well. So Topper, why don't I send it back to you so you can time out this storm once again?
Okay, so that's a couple of good distinctions there. So this is not showing so much rotation as it was earlier. A little bit there, but right now the highest winds are definitely around Marriott Hill and down toward West River. So if you're anywhere on 2, get off, pull over, find a safe location, a sturdy building, and hopefully you've contacted friends and loved ones if they're around this area. But certainly these winds here that are indicated by Doppler, got to be at least 60, 70 miles per hour. So if you're in this area, it's just going to move off to the east and south. So Sudley, Cumberstone, as Caitlin mentioned, it's going to be in your area in about 10 to 15 minutes. So the warning has been extended until 6:30 for Prince George's County and also Anne Arundel County. So now at Shady Side, you're smack in the tornado warning. I think we have a new picture of the tornado. Oh, it's great. You can tell that's on the ground. That is much more than a funnel cloud. Wow. And I assume that's around Buoy, right, Benny?
Topper, how quickly is the storm moving through?
It's moving southeast at 25, which is pretty slow for a tornadic or even a severe thunderstorm. They often move at 50, 60 miles an hour. So this is moving a little slower. There's a tremendous amount of rain with it. Don't have reports of hail yet. But that is a pretty good picture for this area and great picture.
I know it's hard to project what this might ultimately be, but you're looking at the formation of it. You and Caitlin have seen quite a bit of these. What do you call it?
I mean, that's more than a funnel cloud. That shows that the rotation has reached the ground, and that's probably one reason they confirmed it as a tornado around Beltsville. This is probably around Beltsville earlier today. Again, Beltsville, you're in the clear right now, but Buoy, you're in the clear right now. That that shows it's on the ground. I mean, if it were to like stop at the tree level, you'd be like, okay, maybe there's some rotation, maybe it's a funnel cloud, hasn't dropped down, but that tells us that it has indeed dropped down. Let's go back to radar for just a second. Thank you. So Cumberstone, yes. West River, yes. You are in the path here of this, and the warning has been extended, and it includes Prince George's County and also in Arundel County until about 6:30. That's the key right there. So let's go ahead and kind of go down to where we're concerned. And Northern Calvert County, I know you're not in it just yet, but you got to stay alert here, okay? Even though it's just barely to your north. Shadyside, you're smack in this tornado warning until 6:30. And it doesn't have quite the the clear notch it had earlier, but it's still a very, very powerful storm. There's just no doubt how strong the storm is, and so if you're in this area at all, again, you got to take cover. Buoy, you're fine. Shadyside, you should be in the basement or an interior room. I know a lot of you folks don't have basements out toward the bay, so interior room away from windows, if you would. I'll zoom just a hair out, and then I'm going to track it again. And so if you know anybody in these areas, tell them to take cover. This is pretty serious, and especially when they issue one that's been confirmed, and we just saw those pictures. That's serious. There's just no doubt. So it's moving off to the south and east, which is slow, yes, but it could still clip parts of Calvert County. It really could. So just sort of keep that in mind if you're in this area. So it's a little bit of eastern Prince George's County, not much. The majority of this tornado warning now is in Arundel County. And look how close it is. That's Calvert County right there. It's extremely close to Calvert County. And if it does a little right turn, then you guys still might have some problems. Right now, it's kind of in between Annapolis and Shadyside. So the warning's been extended until 6:30 for Anne Arundel and also Prince George's County. And please take this seriously and take cover, because this is, again, a confirmed tornado. Now, it may end up not touching down again. We'll see, but still, you got to take this seriously. Let's go ahead and track this. All right, so Deal 5:56, about 3 minutes. North Beach at 6:08, and then all the way to St. Michael's at about 6:40. It's going to hold together as a strong storm at the very least. Could be a severe thunderstorm even as it makes its way across the bay, and still could end up being tornadic. It is possible that it could still be tornadic at that point. So take that seriously, even if you don't see yourself in the warning yet. And we give you guys across the bay here, got to take a note too. There's not much happening except for this storm. We think essentially the atmosphere is kind of done with big storms, although it's going to remain tropical. It's very miserable outside. We have a couple of storms that have just sort of popped up not too long ago, just to the north and to the west of this severe storm. These are heavy. I mean, the atmosphere is so full of moisture. These are heavy storms from Laurel. This is a moderate storm. We're going out 50 past Walkerville. But essentially, this is where the big problem is. And again, Buoy, you're fine in terms of the tornado. Your threat's over, okay? But
if you're in Calvert County, should you be about to take cover, or just keep it a close watch? Or?
If you're in northern Calvert County, I would just be really mindful, okay? I mean, you're not in it, okay? Because there's the Calvert County line right there. Mm-hmm. That's close. But I will say I'm a little more confident that the storm is not going to do a right turn. It seems to be traveling essentially east-southeast at about 25 miles per hour. That really seems good. We'll watch this second storm trying to pop up around Upper Marlboro.
Hey, Top, we did just get a report from the National Weather Service of structures damaged with injuries reported near Annapolis Road and Superior Lane. That's in North Buoy. So we're starting to get some of these damage reports in that unfortunately prove what we've been talking about here for, almost the past hour now, that there was an incredibly dangerous storm, a tornado on the ground. Thankfully, as you've been mentioning, the storm does appear to have lifted, that rotation not as tight. But again, we have those reports of structures damaged in North Buoy with injuries reported. reported. We'll of course work to get more Michaela Lucero on her way to the area now.
Hey, Caitlin, can you tell us again what those areas are?
Yes, that was reported near Annapolis Road and Superior Lane in North Bowie, so in Prince George's County.
Got it.
And again, we say this over and over again, have a plan to get inside, interior room, basement if you can. A lot of folks out here do not have basements, but certainly an interior room away from windows. That's the #1 goal. So here are some of the storm reports, and let's see if they've added to any of these in the last little bit here. Caitlin, that's troubling about that. Okay, so so now we're talking about, so now we have the tornado on the ground confirmed, at least according to the National Weather Service. So that is a new storm report that we have. And this was, structures damaged with injuries near Annapolis Road and Superior Lane. So that's where that is. Essentially, not far, just going out 50 from D.C. over toward the Annapolis area in the Bowie area.
Yeah, it's kind of near Bowie High School as a point of reference for some folks.
Yeah. So that's, actually, we could probably just go ahead and zoom in and give people an idea of where this is, because not everybody's familiar with it. But this is where we may have had some injuries right here. So yeah, this is 50, so it's just north of 50 up where Bowie is, and well north of Upper Marlboro. But it's outside the Beltway area by a few miles. But that's troubling. That's where the reports of injuries are there. So that's not good. We don't like that. We try to keep folks safe, and we'll see if this storm continues to move off to the south and the east and into Shady Side. If you're in Shady Side, you need to take cover.
Yeah, Top, like we were talking about these storms pulsing up and down, that velocity coupled with that rotation rather tightening up just to the east of Mayo and Shady Side. Very developed area. So if you are in the very last part of this tornado warning, you still need to seek shelter. Be in that safe space right now. The strongest part of that storm just to the west of Mayo and Shady Side, right along 468.
468, okay. So here's the warning. Look at these storms behind. So there's the warning now for parts of Anne Arundel County. So now Prince George's County, you're clear of the tornado warning. So it is just Anne Arundel County. Again, Shady Side, take cover. Yes, it's just to the north of Calvert County. I think it's going to pass to the north of you. I think you're okay, but North Beach, I'd still kind of keep an eye out to the radar. And then we're going to watch this storm pulsing up back to the west of it in Upper Marlboro. That's not severe yet, but it has rainfall rates, I can tell you right now, over 1.5 inches per hour. I mean, the atmosphere is just got a ton of moisture in it, and we get these storms that can rain it out. You get some heavy tropical downpours. So this is now kind of a refined tornado warning, same time period, but they've cropped out Prince George's County. So it includes Anne Arundel County, a good chunk of Anne Arundel County, not in Annapolis, south of Annapolis, essentially right around Shady Side. And that goes until 6:30 tonight. So hopefully you've taken cover. We can zoom in. It's not as populated back out here, but there's still some folks, especially around Shady Side and all the way to the bay. We'll stop it right at Calvert County. So Shady Side, Franklin Manor on the bay, that is possible. Suddenly, you're probably okay. I think the higher winds and the possible tornado is north of you, but take cover. It's worth just taking cover. Being safe first. Take cover for half an hour, 45 minutes. But this is probably what we're mainly concerned about: is Shady Side and also Franklin on the bay. We'll zoom in a little more. I don't think we're going to see. Too many towns in here besides Shady Side. Now we get to Snug Harbor. That you should take cover in Snug Harbor, no doubt, and also in Shady Side. Okay, we're going to go back to kind of reset here for a second. You're watching WSA 9 News at 6 as we continue our tornado coverage. So this is the radar. There's the tornado warning. And Arundel County, Prince George's County, you are cleared. But we also have confirmed reports of a tornado. I mean, look at the pictures we have. This is incredible. Pictures around Bowie. That's a tornado. That certainly is. That's on the ground and a pretty clear picture. Freeway Airport, this one. And that's even a better picture of the tornado. So when you see the dark clouds extending to the ground, if you were watching this with your naked eye, you could actually probably see some rotation. And that's what happens. The whole thunderstorm rotates, and then it drops down a funnel cloud, and then sometimes that funnel cloud becomes a tornado. And in this case, it became a tornado. So right now in Arundel County, you're the only county under this tornado warning. Prince George's County, you are okay. Calvert County, you are not under the warnings yet. We also have a tiny little severe thunderstorm warning inside of that, but this red box, that's the area we're most concerned about in terms of winds and heavy rain. I don't think hail is going to be a huge problem at this point. We'll go in, we'll see if we can see some of the winds, and it may not be quite as clear as it was around Buoy. Still some pretty good winds here. If you look carefully, we're under the A of Shadyside. Mainly straight line winds. There could be a little rotation there, but I think mainly just straight line winds. And you're still talking about winds probably 50, 60 miles per hour. This is still a big storm. And we talk about this. It doesn't have to be tornadic to be dangerous. It doesn't have to be tornadic to produce a lot of damage. Remember, little EF zeros, you can produce those kinds of winds in severe thunderstorms as well. So we don't see anything. I don't see any coupling here. Can you confirm that, Caitlin? Is there any coupling around Shadyside? I don't see it on this scope.
Yeah, I don't see any rotation, Topper, but still seeing some really powerful wind right over Shadyside
Yep.
right now, really just to the west of Shadyside.
Okay.
But thankfully no rotation, but like we've been saying all afternoon, it doesn't take rotation to cause significant damage.
No, it doesn't. And we repeat ourselves all the time, but it really is, I think it bears repeating because in some respects, you should take severe thunderstorm warnings as seriously as you do tornado warnings in this area because they can be just as dangerous. We'll track this for you, and it's going to go across the bay. But in Shadyside, I want you guys should be under cover. Should have been there for some time. I think it's going to hold together, go all the way to St. Michael's, all the way to Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum about 6:48, and all the way to Oxford at about 7:09. Now we'll see if it remains tornadic or just a severe thunderstorm, but it's still a very intense storm and one that we have to really, take seriously. I'll zoom in a little bit more. We'll see if we can see some of the straight line winds. But again, Shadyside, it's about to cross over the bay here, so it's going to go that way. So we're essentially, we're going to see certainly marine warnings issued on the bay, no doubt about that. Could go toward Whitman School at about 6:35. So there's the latest image. It's about to move offshore, but I tell you, Shadyside, I'm still kind of concerned about Shadyside here because I think you still are going to see some strong winds and potentially a tornado. It's possible. So, and this is a big storm around Buoy, between Buoy and Odenton. That's a pretty big storm. So we're going to go back here. Now this is the severe thunderstorm warning to the west in this little tiny area, essentially right around Shadyside. You're like the center of that. You're the epicenter of that. That is a tornado warning until 6:30. And I don't know that we see any the rotation is not as clear as it was around Buoy by far, but there's still some strong winds in this storm. There's just no doubt. I mean, Shadyside, you're looking at rainfall rates almost 2 inches per hour right now. We'll put the scope on it again, and we don't see as much rotation as we did. There's a little bit there. Okay, see the green and the red there? That's toward and away from the radar. So that indicates the possibility of some rotation. But the brighter reds here, more a straight line and going in one direction. So those are probably 60 miles per hour. That just disappeared in the last scope, so that's good. But strong winds, Shadyside southward, almost down to the Franklin Manor on the bay. These are strong winds. These are probably almost 60 miles an hour between these two towns. So please, again, take this seriously. Even if it's not tornadic, it can still be a very dangerous storm. Caitlin.
Yeah, Topper, of course, thankfully, as you've been mentioning, this storm is continuing to push off to the south and east. It will be out of the Shadyside area, but we are still seeing some significant wind in that area. But we also have a few storms off to the north and west of where we still have this severe thunderstorm warning in effect as well. So we'll go ahead and zoom out a little bit and show you where we are still tracking some of this weather. And we also did get a report of some structural damage to the Harris Teeter there near Annapolis Road. So if you're familiar with the area, we had significant structural damage to the Harris Teeter is what we're being told right now. But again, it's that area off to the north and west right near Marlboro Meadows. So we'll zoom in a little bit closer here. I know it doesn't look like a whole lot on radar, but we are still seeing some weak rotation, probably some damaging wind in the area. This is just outside of that severe thunderstorm warning as well. So if you are in the area, no, there is still a significant storm moving through parts of Bayard, Drury. We still have a few strikes of lightning, but that's the least of our concern right now. But we are also watching that stronger wind possible just off to the north and east of, again, where that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect right near 422. So we'll go ahead and zoom on out. We are still having that tornado warning in effect until 6:30 this evening. The strongest part of that storm right over Shadyside. And again, I am looking at some other radar data off of our weather computers here, and it does look like we may actually have some rotation in that area once again. Yeah, that tightened right back up over Shadyside. So if you are in the area, stay in that safe space. The storm will quickly be over the bay, but for the time being, if you are just to the south of Shadyside, just to the north of Franklin Manor on the bay, you need to be seeking shelter. Where you see that green meeting that red is where we have rotation being detected right now. And the National Weather Service just said tornado was observed. A confirmed tornado was located over Shadyside. So this is the second confirmed tornado we have today. This one over Shadyside, moving to the south and east at 25 miles per hour. This is where that confirmed tornado is right now. Snug Harbor, Cedarhurst, Columbia Beach, a confirmed tornado on the ground. And keep in mind, as this moves into the bay, likely going to become a water sprout. That's why we have a marine warning in effect for the area. So if you were under this warning, you need to stay in your safe space. Call and check on your loved ones in Columbia Beach, Shadyside, Cedarhurst, Snug Harbor. Another confirmed tornado on the ground, our second confirmed tornado of the evening. This is a new radar scan there. You can see it does take away some of that rotation, but second confirmed tornado in the Shadyside area. We'll go ahead and zoom out, reset for you here and show you what else we have going on. Thankfully, this storm moving off of land but onto water. So again, we'll watch out for some of those water spout images we will no doubt get here over the next several minutes as we continue to see this storm move off to the south and east around 25 miles per hour. So right now we still have that tornado warning in effect until 6:30, Todd.
Yeah, and it's unusual for us to have, two confirmed tornadoes. A lot of times we have to go out and National Weather Service has to do, surveys, but we have pictures of the first one, and we'll see if we see pictures of the second one. We've been talking about Shadyside, much of the day in the last half an hour, and hopefully you folks are undercover because this is a very, very serious storm. And that radar scope really just showed you how they pulse up and pulse down. For a while, it was all straight line winds, and it had a little rotation as the greens and reds mixed in. And that has become a pretty intense storm. It really has. I mean, I think it's even a little stronger than it was, say, 15 minutes ago. And the Weather Service has confirmed one around the Shadyside area. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little more, and I'll name some of the towns that Caitlin did. And you need to be taking cover in Shadyside and down to the south. That's a pretty clear kind of echo there of the inflow. So that's tornado warning continues for our friends. So there you go. It's going to go across the bay. We'll see if it holds together and stays tornadic or if it just becomes a severe storm. But notice how the bulk of the storm now is across the bay, and marine warnings are out all over the place there. But Shadyside down to the south, that's where the storm is. All right, so we know we had a sighting of a tornado in Buoy, and for more on that, we have meteorologist Michaela Sarah, and she's out there in Weather Explorer. Michaela, what can you tell us? Have you seen any damage?
We've seen some minor damage, Topper, some tree limbs down near the roadways, but right now we just got into Buoy and it is dumping rain out here, seeing really large raindrops across the roadways, and we're seeing a little bit of it starting to pool up in some areas. So if you are out on the roadways, make sure you use an extra caution, especially in those low-lying areas. We are headed right now to a spot that saw some of that damage potentially from that tornado. So we're going to head there now to see what some of that damage damage looks like. As you can see, we have got the windshield wipers moving with some really, really big raindrops. And remember, if you are driving in this rain and you do hit some of those areas with the low-lying areas with some flooding, make sure you turn around, don't drown, Topper.
Okay, so good advice. And see how big those raindrops were. It's just so tropical out there. It really is like a tropical air mass. So this is the tornado warning, continues in Shady Side. I think some of the winds now may be just offshore a little bit. Let me just see what our scope looks like. I think, well, they're still strong. No, they're still strong in Shady Side. Down 256. Those are still strong winds. I would give, say, another 10, 15 minutes, and then I think the winds will be out of there. The rainfall, heavy rainfall, is pretty much moved across the bay now. But notice we have this storm back to the south and the west, and that's prompted another severe thunderstorm warning. You guys just got hit, Marriott Hill down Route 2 over towards Sudley, and it's doesn't look to be tornadic, but it does seem to be a very strong storm. And rainfall rates around Greenock around about an inch or so per hour. So most of the storms, we had kind of had 2 rounds today in terms of storms. I'm going to zoom back out and kind of reset. In terms of storms back to the west, it's pretty quiet. Everything is essentially focused here, you know, right into Prince George's County and Arundel County, and now most of the activity is across the bay. So if you don't have a storm now, you're west of 95, you're okay. You can grill out tonight. But be advised, we're going to do this. We're going to do this all over again, I think, tomorrow, and we think again even a more serious case on Thursday. So this is the tornado warning. Notice they keep shrinking it, but Shady Side, you've been in the center of that for about a half an hour. So severe thunderstorm warning back to the west. But there's the tornado warning for Shady Side, and we'll kind of zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so notice the heavy rain is now off, but between Shady Side and Franklin Manor on the bay, we feel that's where the highest winds were, and some of the heaviest rains now eastward. Caitlin.
Yeah, Topper, I was just asking the control room if we could see some of those pictures, again, confirming that first tornado in Buoy, just the first of 2, that second confirmed tornado over Shady Side. But thankfully, the strongest part of that storm has moved over the bay. This is a video we have there from Anne Arundel County. This is of the Buoy tornado. You can see that funnel cloud trying to reach down to the surface. Hard to say for certain if that's touching the ground in this video, but you can see that clear rotation, that clear funnel cloud looking just off to the east of those trees. There it is. You can see that darker part of the storm dropping a little bit farther down. That's what we're talking about when we talk about funnel clouds and what we look for when we talk about rotation. So again, this was that first storm that we saw a confirmed tornado touchdown in Buoy, getting reports of that second confirmed tornado touching down in Shady Side. So I really do think we are in the clear from the tornado threat right now. The tornado warning does continue until 6:30, but the strongest part of the storm now over the bay. We are still seeing some pretty significant wind out of that one storm that's not under the severe thunderstorm warning. But again, this was an area that just had a strong storm move through. So any tree branches or limbs that may have been compromised, you're now seeing another round of some strong winds. So we'll get you back to radar here and talk about where we're seeing this second storm that, again, there's no warning on it right now, but Warrant's watching as we head throughout the next several minutes. This is over Bayard into parts of Greenock, Darnall, Tracy's Landing. Still a strong thunderstorm moving over the area. They did actually just expire that severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Anne Arundel County. But I do want to show you here. There it is, right over 408. It is nothing compared to what we saw in terms of wind earlier, but still very noticeable if you are in the Greenock or Bristol area. This storm still producing some significant wind and still moving off to the south and east. So if you're in the McKendree area, Greenock, Sudley, Deal, Cheney, I would still bank on getting a pretty powerful storm here pretty shortly. No warning on it right now, but still something that we're watching, and thankfully the last storm that we're really watching right now. Otherwise, we are for the most part in the clear. We do want to send things out to Scott Broom now, who's in Buoy. And Scott, what are you seeing out there?
Here we go. Well, I'm in the section of Buoy near a street called Shetland Lane and Stony Brook Drive. There's been some moderate damage here and some severe damage to trees. I'm not seeing a lot of damage to homes just yet, but I talked to some residents here who said the storm came so quickly. They were about the same time the warnings came out. They just had no time to react. It is raining here as well, even though we can see patches of blue sky. So there's a lot of moisture still up in that atmosphere. This is a big, huge oak tree that is down here in this yard in front of this home. The home, you know, the roof is okay. There's a bunch of fencing here that got torn up, kind of vinyl fencing, but it looks like the siding on the house, the roof, that all survived. And my colleague behind the camera is pointing out he's got some wires down in the back.
Big tree.
Okay, so that's another big oak tree that's down back here. We're going to slow down because there are wires down, and I see that we're approaching some as my partner Kurt is looking through the viewfinder. We are going no closer than this.
All right, gotcha.
Because we see some wires down. Okay, so that's a big oak tree that was taken out onto the utilities here in the back of this gentleman's home who we just spoke to. He said he knew a storm was coming and it hit before he even had time to react. There was no time to get downstairs. He just knew it was here. He saw one tree go down in the front. He said he immediately took cover inside the house. He said he heard a second tree. I presume it's this one that took down the utilities. Bang, the power went out, and he said it was all over just that quickly. Just like now, the sun came out almost instantly. I can hear this gentleman's
Hey guys, if we
got
could
a
come
new
back
one now.
to
Generator,
either top or right, would you
running
have a
in
new
this
severe
neighborhood.
or a new tornado
We got a
warning?
tornado
rather?
warning now, and it's for Anne Arundel County, and it goes now until 6:45. It's radar indicated, but still, it's more than likely what we've seen so far. We believe in these tornado warnings. So, sorry, Scott. Good job there. Now, it's actually kind of what Caitlin showed you earlier, and I saw some winds up to 62 miles per hour. So this is the tornado warning. It's a big area too. I'll zoom out just a little bit, and unfortunately, it's sort of the same area around Greenock that got hit earlier today. So. This is a big tornado warning, goes till 6:45. It includes Deal, so that includes Anne Arundel County. It's all Anne Arundel County until 6:45. I don't see anything yet into Calvert County. But now south of Shadyside, you're clear. Okay, that's over with. But now this is a new tornado warning, and it's again a very large area. Let me see if we can kind of find some rotation. I think I found some just to the west of 2 here that was fairly impressive, maybe a 60-mile-per-hour wind. Just again, what we're looking for here is red and green combined. That means things are rotating in the atmosphere. Pretty good winds just west of 2 over toward Deal. So if you're in this area, and it is a big area to keep track of, but if you're in this latest tornado warning, it covers a huge chunk of Anne Arundel County, south of Shadyside, down toward Deal. And again, if you notice, it's just right on the Calvert County line. So if you're in Calvert County, you still, I've been saying this all night, you need to be at least prepared for the possibility of this, particularly this storm, making a little bit of a right turn. So this is the warning. This is the border of Calvert County and Anne Arundel County. Technically, you're not in there, but wow, you're in North Beach, I would take cover. You're in Deal, I would certainly take cover. Get folks off the road on 2, no doubt. If I had to track, some of the areas that we think maybe are the most vulnerable, say in the next, little bit, well, let's take it from 2 and just to the west of Deal, okay, and then take it down. This also is moving at southeast at about 25 miles an hour, so same track in terms of where it's moving. So Deal, you're in the path. North Beach, you're in the path as well, and also Harrington Harbor South, you're in the path. You're also in the tornado warning, but Deal at about 6:27, Rest Haven at about 6:29, Rose Haven at about 6:36. Anyone in this area needs to take cover immediately. These are strong storms, and we've seen confirmed tornadoes already in these storms, both in Anne Arundel County and also into Prince George's County. Collins Marine Railway at about 6:26. So these are some of the areas where this storm is going to track and where you could see the possibility of a tornado. I think for certain you're going to see very, very strong winds in this area. The reflectivity isn't picking up as much heavy rain as you'd think, but there is some high winds. Rotation can't really see much right now in terms of the rotation. Around 2, some high winds, around Deal, high winds. Again, when we show you this, you want to see red and green kind of mixed, and that indicates rotation. If you're seeing the same color, winds are all moving the same way, and it's not quite as pronounced right there around 2. But I just scoped something just a second ago, and some of the winds here were pretty impressive. They were pretty impressive. Upper Marlboro, pretty strong winds, possibly just to the east. They're probably up to 60 miles per hour, so anywhere around 2. Over toward Deal, up 468. You're going to see winds 40 to 60. We don't see any green mixed in, so. But again, these pulse, they wax and they wane. They get strong, they diminish a little bit, and then they can pick up again. So the tornado, especially here in the east, our tornadoes don't stay on the ground for that long a period. So if you're around 2 and around Deal, I would take cover. I would take cover immediately, and I would call someone and say, hey, you know, if you're, hey, Mom, I just heard about this. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. We'll go all the way down North Beach. So far, just all straight line winds. Strong winds, no doubt. So this is the new tornado warning. That's a huge part of Anne Arundel County. You know, down to west of Deal, North Beach, and that continues until 6:45 tonight. Shadyside, you're done with your big storm. Scott Broom, let's go back to Mr. Broom. He's had some pretty cool damage out there. Scotty.
Roofing material scattered all over the place in the Stony Brook section of Buoy, which means there are roofing nails undoubtedly in people's lawns here. So we're going to be careful as we move around and show you some of the damage here. Topper, I have to say, from the reports I'm hearing from individuals here in the neighborhood, this is a quick strike in the storm. According to the police officer we're speaking with here, damage not widespread, it's spotty. It comes down in one little spot, bounces to another spot. We have fairly typical things, mostly tree damage here. I'd be very interested in Topper's assessment, National Weather Service assessment of how strong the winds were to be able to take down trees, top them, chew them up, and also leave power lines down, which is why we're at this intersection and holding here. The police officer guarding us from Buoy has been very nice, trying to keep everybody away from power lines. Let me walk you in front of this gentleman's house right here. I had a chance to talk to these folks, and they said it came extremely quickly. It was sunny. They became aware there was a storm happening before it really anybody had time to react. This tree right here, big root ball in front of this house, went down. The gentleman who lives here, Mike, told me he knew this was serious really quickly, so he took cover. He was inside his house. Before you know it, a second tree in the back took out power lines, knocked the power out, and he said it was all over just like that. My colleague Kirk Brooks, while he's looking at the tree, I'm going to approach Mike and see Mike and Tad, who were witnesses to this.
The ring caught it on the one at the back. The ring.
Live on WUSA 9. What are you showing?
Yeah, the ring caught it on the camera.
Oh, your ring camera.
The ring camera caught it.
Tell me about how this storm came through. I was trying to describe what you were telling me.
Yes, it came around and it was circling around. When I was looking through the window, I saw that tree fell, and then I ran for cover.
Good.
Yeah, and then my uncle, he saw the back of what was happening at the back end of it.
Big tree came down the back. You said it came so quickly, it was almost impossible.
It must have reacted, yeah. It was very...
It made him run under the table. He ran under the table, so the little refrigerator under the table, he managed to get under there with the refrigerator.
Gentlemen, here's what's important. You guys are okay? You're not aware of any neighbors who were injured?
Just like they just shaking, but okay.
Shaking,
But okay, yeah.
Yeah, Mike is sharing with me shots of his ring camera. It may be difficult to see. Oh, we just momentarily caught the tree going down, but it was tough for the camera to catch that with the... We could back it up. We're going to try to show it again with our lens here, Mike. He's re-cueing the video right now. So pretty dramatic. I mean, if you're the one living through this, I have to say, here we go. Are we able to see it? Mike, looks like the screen went black. There it goes. Oh! Oh! Okay, so Topper, Mike is continuing to show us this video. My partner Kurt behind the camera trying to capture that.
That was awesome. That was awesome. We saw it, Scott.
Okay, ring camera. You know, ring cameras are just amazing in terms of documenting things that are going on. The intersection here is Shetland and Stony Brook, for those who are familiar with this section of Buoy. It looks like the damage here is concentrated just in this tight little area, and then the storm bounced away and moved on. So what you're looking at here is typical of the kind of damage. We're seeing lots of limbs down, trees down, we've got wires down, some being broken fences, some roofing materials laying around, but it looks like most of the homes are okay. Speaking to Mike and Tad here, and also the police officer here, we are not aware of any injuries in Buoy at this time. Hopefully this is one of these incidents where it gets our attention. We marvel at the damage, but everybody's got insurance and there's been nobody injured and we can move on. Let's hope that's the situation here as we continue to develop other areas with damage and try to figure out, get our fingers on the pulse of exactly how this storm moved and where it went. While I've been talking to you, Topper, we've gone from blue sky to gray sky. We've had a second or two of heavy rain,
Hey, Scott,
and we can see the clouds skipping past us and moving rather quickly. So there's still a lot of active weather around us right now. Topper, I'm going to toss it back to you.
Okay.
From,
yeah, Scott, that was awesome, and you're right. Ring cameras are pretty incredible. So we still have this tornado warning in effect for Arundel County, and I just scoped this, and just to the west of Deal, you're looking at winds of about 60 miles per hour. So whether it's tornadic or not, we want you folks to take cover in this area. It goes until 6:45. So anywhere east of Route 2 over toward Deal, that is serious. Now, I think we have some new video in, Benny, from the storms we had earlier in Prince George's County and Arundel County. Is that true? Benny? You have video. Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. So there's a storm. Oh, look at the recycle bin moving.
Oh, look at the trees.
Look at the recycle bin flying. Whoa.
Yeah, that was quick.
That's got to be at least 50.
And this is where now? Is this also Buoy?
This is Buoy. This is Buoy earlier today.
So, Top, everyone keeps talking about how quickly this storm moved through. So the people who are in the path of this storm right now, you're telling them to seek shelter. How long should they be in that safe space or plan to be?
I mean, if you're in the Deal area, you need to sit there for probably another half an hour or
Half
so
hour? Okay.
until it clears, because again, it may not be tornadic, but I've scoped the winds. They're at least 60, 70 miles per hour. So between like Deal and North Beach, and again, technically our friends in Calvert County not under the warning, but if this turns a little right, still keep an eye to the sky in northern Calvert County for Dunkirk. You're okay, but North Beach particularly, keep an eye to the sky. In terms of the, we can scope this again, and you're going to just see essentially red, okay? So that's essentially straight line winds. There's no green mixed in, which indicates some rotation. But notice just to the west of Deal, and right there around the D, I just scoped it. We got winds of about 60, 70 miles per hour. So.
Yeah, Top, and my concern with this storm in particular is it's so far away from both of our radar sites that as radar scans, it shoots higher and higher in the sky. So it has a really hard time detecting some of those surface features. So unfortunately, it's in kind of a crummy spot in terms of data for us. So even though it doesn't look like a whole lot, I do still advise folks to be concerned that there still could be some more powerful wind and possibly rotation in the area.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, I saw winds of at least 60 miles an hour, and so that certainly is the case. I mean, we got meteorologist Caitlin, I'm sorry, Michaela Lucera in Buoy, and you're at the damage site now?
Yeah, that's right, Topper. I am at Bradford Lane and Buckingham Drive, and you can see behind me that we have a tree down that is completely blocking the road. You cannot get through with the car. You'd have to get out and walk around. It's also on top of a vehicle, and I actually have the homeowner here this is their car and their tree that has come down. Becky, tell me what it was like when the storm came through.
Yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking, to be honest. We got the alerts, so I turned the news on and was following along, checking out the skies. I noticed the clouds were just swirling in lots of different directions. So I was, getting nervous. And then all of a sudden, my husband and I are looking out, and in this direction, we just saw branches and debris just swirling in a circle. Didn't actually see a funnel cloud or anything like that, but definitely saw the swirling of debris. And we just grabbed our kids and we all went into our closet under our steps and waited for the all clear.
And that's the right thing to do. And everybody's safe?
Yes, we are all safe. Yeah.
Glad to hear that. Yeah. Well, if you are out on the roadways in this area, just remember a lot of trees down that are blocking some of the roadways. Back to you guys.
Okay, thanks so much, Michaela. And that's great advice in terms of staying safe. And I guess the best news of all, this storm is about to move across the bay, but notice the tornado warnings across the bay. So these storms have continued to be intense and a little problematic. So in fact, this storm that went across, this is the storm responsible for the possible tornado around Shadyside, and it is now across the bay, also with a ton of tornado warnings, including just to the west of St. Michael's. Down toward Deal, yeah, this is the area that's under the warning, and this is the one that we're most concerned about, and literally, essentially, right toward Deal. That's the one we're concerned about. Caitlin, can you load my show? I don't know why it's not working.
Yeah,
here.
Top, and we do want to get you there too, that velocity data, because that rotation over Deal does look a little bit more impressive right now. So there you can see it right under the tornado warning. Just to the west of Deal is where we are seeing a little bit tighter rotation, a little bit more powerful wind. So if you are in the area of Tracy's Landing, Nutwell heading towards Deal and Leech, that is where we are still seeing this really powerful storm right along 258, Route 2, heading towards 256. That is the area that is still under a tornado warning until 6:45. The good news is I don't think the storm is over land until 6:45. It is still continuing to move at a fairly decent pace, around 25 to 35 miles per hour right now. But again, it's this area that we're zooming into just to the south of Nutwell, where I do think there is at a minimum damaging wind occurring, potentially another rotating storm. Like we just talked about, this hits at a pretty far area from our radar site, so it can be a little bit more difficult to detect where we're actually seeing rotation. So I know it doesn't look like much if you're looking at the TV screen right now, but trust me, this is potentially where we are seeing more rotation, but very quickly moving towards the bay. So if you are in Deal, remain in that safe space, at least for the time being. I think we have another 10, maybe 15 minutes until this pushes off to the south and east and off of land. Of course, that will make for dangerous conditions on the water and potentially could hold as it moves across the bay. That's why another tornado warning is in effect. But this is really the area that we're concerned about right now, right over Deal. And it's just to the south and east, just to the north of 423 there, in between Deal and Fairhaven, is where we see the worst of this storm right now. So Topper, thankfully, we are just a few minutes away from this finally working its way over the bay.
Hey guys, we have Mayor Tim Adams from Buoy on the phone. If we can go to him for just a quick second. Mayor Adams, are you still there?
Yes, I am. How are you this evening?
We are good, and we sure hope that the people of Buoy are okay. We've been seeing some of the video. We've been hearing from homeowners. What's your vantage point, and what are you hearing about the state of things and damage in Buoy right now?
Well, I have to say the good news is at this point we have no report of any injuries. And so we're all very happy about that. Right now we have our emergency management team is on the site. Tree cutters, we know power is down. We know that the tornado touched down, of course. And so we're doing an assessment now. Police and fire on scene as well. And we're just trying to help everybody who can.
Yeah, Mayor Adams, we hear from a lot of people who are saying this storm moved through pretty quickly and they almost didn't have any time to react. Can you give us sort of a description of your experience during the storm?
Yeah, well, from my understanding, and as we've talked, it really was a rapidly moving storm, tornado. It touched down and went through, and we're talking about minutes in and out. So it was a challenge. Not a whole lot of warning was given to the citizens. But again, I have to commend our emergency management team because they were immediately out, as well as our overall team of fire and police. And again, I just have to emphasize again, everyone needs to be very cautious. We have power lines down. We have to make sure that you remain in and that you're safe and that you call the numbers we may need. But more importantly, remember at this point, we have no reports of any real injuries at this time.
That is the best news. I can tell you, we've been listening to our chief Tenacious Topper and our meteorologist Caitlin McGrath talking about this for some time, and it is highly unusual. We've seen where there have been two tornadoes found in such close proximity in such a short period of time. I guess the good news is that people have been listening, and even with the short amount of time you said they had to react, they did react, and no one has been hurt. How about your personal experience, though? Where were you at the time?
Well, I am not in that particular section of the city at that time, but you did see the dark clouds. It just got dark all of a sudden, and you could see something was going on, and it was truly amazing. And again, the speed and how rapidly that happened. I think we also have to understand that we've all got to maintain our posture and be prepared at all times. Yeah, as we've seen the weather patterns change and things happen, it shows that Buoy and other places we're not no longer can avoid these things, that they can just happen. Again, we've got to be prepared. And as you said, I want to thank the citizens because they've done a phenomenal job of responding as well and keeping safe during this time. And so I want to thank them. I want to make sure that we reassure them that the city is on it, our emergency management team is on it, and that we are all making sure that we will be there to help everyone.
Mayor Adams, have you heard anything about the damage at a Harris Teeter potentially? We heard that there was some potential structural damage to a Harris Teeter. Are you hearing anything about that?
That is correct. I've heard that there is some structural damage to the Harris Teeter. Right now I'm trying to make sure I avoid, but I'm on my way in the area as well, just to make sure I see for myself. But there has been damage, my understanding, to Harris Teeter, because that's around where, again, around that.
Yeah, Mayor Adams,
where the tornado touched down.
It sounds like you're trying to get a grasp of, I guess, the scope of the damage there and who may be in need. Do you all have what you need in Buoy to respond to those who may be in need of assistance right now? Or do you need any outside support?
At this point, absolutely. One of the things that we've done is we've formed a joint task force team, so to be, with surrounding jurisdictions and all that. Anything we need, we all, in case of emergency or in times of emergencies like this, that we can reach out and we get support from all the areas around. So that's already been put in place, and as we look at what's needed, and again, we leave those calls to the emergency management team, but anything we need at this time, it looks like we have it covered.
Well, Buoy, of course, is a beautiful city with lots of lush trees and beautiful homes and a community for sure. And if anybody's going to pull together and help the neighbors, it's definitely going to happen there in Buoy.
That is so true. We're one Buoy, one city.
All right. Mayor Adams,
so thank you so much. And I ask that people please, to help our emergency management team and others, that if you're not in the area, if you don't need to be there, please give our emergency workers the room they need to operate and assess and help the citizens there.
Yeah, this is concerning actually. When our chopper here, Sky 9, was zoomed in on one of those downed trees, you saw someone walking through that debris. And again, we've been telling folks to stay away from some of those downed trees and down wires because they could be charged. So we should put in that reminder for folks.
Absolutely.
As well.
I mean, we really have to be cautious at this time. Again, initially we have no reports of injuries, but as you know, during these types of events, it's the possibility of injuries afterwards with the down power lines, the trees, all of those things are so dangerous at this point. So please, I ask everyone to stay away from the area unless you have to be. And again, I encourage everyone to make sure that we keep our first responders and the citizens in their thoughts, and we'll make sure that we'll do all we can to keep you informed of what's going on, but also we appreciate the support that we're getting from everyone.
All right, Mayor Adams, thank you so much. You stay safe, and we'll be checking in with you as well as you get a better understanding of the conditions there in Buoy.
Yeah,
hey, Tom.
you
I
just
look
never
forward
know.
to it.
Yeah.
And again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Adams. You know, you never know when you're going to come up on a tree, on a car, or you could see people from our vantage point that we're trying to navigate clearly. The power's out, so the lights are out. They're probably going to see a lot of this, Top, wherever they go around that area.
Right, and one thing I really noticed about the Sky 9 video is I saw trees down in different directions.
That's right.
And that is a telltale sign of a tornado, of winds turning in different directions. So this, you can sort of see in the bottom left-hand portion of your screen, some trees are topped off at the, are cut off at the top, but a little earlier we saw one tree going down this way and another tree going down at a 45-degree angle next to it. So that, to me, is saying, hey, this certainly was tornadic. Okay, well, the radar, once we get through the next few minutes, we're in pretty good shape. Everything will be across the bay. In fact, we're looking at the tornado warning still in effect for a little portion of southeastern Arundel County. And just to the west of Deal, I saw some winds about 60, 62 miles per hour. But the storm itself is over the bay. I think they're going to probably cancel this, I would think. Michaela Lucera is out in the Buoy area where they did have a confirmed tornado earlier.
Yeah, Topper, I'm on Bridal Place in the backyard of a homeowner, and you can see the extent of the damage behind me. We have a tree that snapped in half and has fallen on the roof and has fallen inside of someone's bedroom. Now, I have the homeowner here. James, if you want to step over, tell me what it was like when you saw these branches crashing into your room.
Well, I was actually inside, and I had just left the bathroom. The rain had stopped, so I went outside to peek at what was going on. I came back inside, heard like a really loud rumbling noise. I looked at the neighbor's house. I couldn't see it anymore. There was like a white wall in front, and that's when I started to panic a little bit. I wasn't sure what was going on. So I stepped back into the house, and that's when I saw some items leaving the ground. So I ran into the main house, and as that was happening, this tree hit the house, the whole house shook, and I came outside, and the next thing I see is that, I was pretty lucky not to be inside when this happened. My bed is right there, so just blessed at the end of the day.
Right. And you said your pets are all safe. Where were they at?
So I actually had just called my mother and told her that, we had a tornado warning. So as soon as I called her, she said, hey, would you bring the dogs in? As soon as I brought the dogs in, that's when this thing came through the house. So it's lucky that they were inside too.
And everybody's safe in the house?
Everyone's safe here, and as far as I know, everyone's safe in the neighborhood, which is the important thing.
Yeah, that's the important thing. Topper, back to you.
Okay, well, at least everybody is safe. That's horrible that the tree went through his house, though. We still have this tornado warning in effect. I'm not quite so sure why, because the storm is gone. It's across the bay. So we're in pretty good shape in terms of the rest of the evening. I don't think we're going to see much, maybe an isolated storm here or there, but other than that, we are looking at just some isolated storms west of this area. But you go far enough west, it's quiet. A couple of light showers down toward Culpeper, that's in green. But this is the activity that really caused all the severe thunderstorm warnings and all the severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings. But it's across the bay now. It's going to be a problem, no doubt, for our friends on the Eastern Shore, Easton, and certainly as it heads toward the ocean resorts. Those are still strong storms. They're probably going to stay at least severe, maybe not tornadic. But other than that, we're in pretty good shape. Once we get, over the next couple of hours, I think this storm even in La Plata will go away. It's heavy. It's not severe. It's a heavy storm. It's now east of La Plata, east of Waldorf, east of 301, but it's headed toward Prince Frederick, Mechanicsville, and also Huntingtown. Warning goes away, so we are clear in terms of warnings west of the bay right now. So to me, that's good news. I think we can take a breath now, and we may have to worry about some more storms tomorrow. Michaela, back to you.
Only damage.
Michaela? Oh my, you're inside the house now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Topper. We are inside. Whoa. Yes, we're inside the home right now, and you can see where that tree came through. And this is why we tell you to get into your tornado safe spot when we have those tornado warnings, because of situations just like this. If you had been hanging out in your room, you could have been seeing some really significant damage. But you can see the tree limbs coming through, the insulation right on top of where he could have been sleeping at this time. It is safe to say that he was in the right place when that tornado came through to keep him safe. But yeah, some pretty significant damage to this area of the home here in Buoy. Topper.
Wow. Yeah, thank goodness everybody's safe and the pets are safe. I like that.
Yep.
But wow, what a long task he has ahead of replacing and repairing the house. But yes, we always say away from windows. Interior rooms are also a little more structurally sound.
Yeah, Topper, and we did just have, we had some EMS come through here as well, just to check out the surrounding area of this home. But like we said before, this is why you need to be in that tornado safe spot. This is right where a window was as well. And we talk about cutting down tree limbs that hang over your home if you can. This is the exact reason why we encourage people to do that, because of these large tree branches that can come down and cause such damage not only to your home but also potentially to you. If it was a nighttime tornado that could have come through when somebody was sleeping in here, the damage could have been so much worse than what we're seeing right now.
Okay. Oh, now, thanks, Michaela. That's good and bad news and great advice. Mr. Broom is also on some tornado damage.
Yeah. Notable, Michaela just talked about trees over your house. There are already tree contractors who've showed up where I am at the intersection Stony Brook Drive, Shetland Lane, Stony Brook section of Buoy. And Topper, also with the help of my colleague Kurt Brooks behind the camera, want to show you exactly what you were talking about in micro view, which is trees that are toppling in different directions and being twisted. Here's a relatively small, I don't know, crepe myrtle maybe, is twisting.
Yeah.
It went down in this direction towards this gentleman's home. It couldn't be, I'd say 20 yards away to the base of the next tree. This is a big, strong oak, and it toppled in exactly the opposite direction. Suggesting to us exactly what you were telling me, Topper, that the wind was going two different directions, only about 30 yards from itself. So perhaps the core of the spin went right over this location. The gentleman behind us here, his house is in remarkably good shape considering the two trees in front were destroyed. We've got fencing materials. We have no idea where that came from. And then you get behind this gentleman's house and you can see yet another very large, sturdy, healthy oak tree. These are not like they're sick trees in any way. The storm literally ripping it out of the ground and toppling it over. And of course we have utility wires down as well, which is why the mayor of Buoy spent so much time with us on the phone, cautioning people to stay away. We're getting some sightseers going by here on Stony Brook Drive. So the mayor makes a good point. There are lots of people who want to come out and see this now that the sun is out and the weather is nice. And the fact is, for instance, this side street here is closed because of wires down. There are tree contractors and utility contractors already flooding into the neighborhood. Mayor Adams is trying to get everybody to calm down and not do the sightseeing. Let us show you. You'll see better pictures anyway, so that first responders who are still reacting to this can do their job here at Buoy. That's the situation we see in the Stony Brook section right now. Topper, back to you.
Well, Scott, that was great. And a couple of things that you showed were just spectacular in different directions, but also that small tree you showed was sort of twisted. And a straight line wind would just snap it in one direction, but we saw how the bark was twisted, and that's a telltale sign too. Okay, also in Buoy, covering the damage of the confirmed tornado, meteorologist Michaela Lucero. Michaela.
Hey, Topper, and now we're outside of that home we were just showing you. You can see trees down all over, but also across the street where it is just more just trees. You can see they are all uprooted. Some of these trees are, tens and tens of feet tall. You can see as we look up just how tall all of these trees are, and a number of them have been ripped up from the roots. Now here's the good news. Scott was telling about a lot of down power lines. We're not seeing any of the down power lines here. There really aren't any power lines in this area of the neighborhood, but still seeing a lot of trees down, and many of the homes here, if not all of them, are without power. We did just see EMS. They are going from pretty much door to door, areas that have seen damage, just to talk with the residents and make sure that their areas are safe in case there are any potential fires going on from some of the electrical issues that could be happening with some of these homes. But we'll continue to talk with some of the residents. But right now, just seeing a lot of trees down, a lot of damage to homes. But thankfully, from everyone we've talked to so far, Topper, everybody has been safe.
Hey, Michaela, we have a question. So you showed us the gentleman who had the structural damage to his home. It's Lorenzo and Leslie. A minute ago. Was that the only house that you saw with any significant damage? Is it just primarily trees down since you've been traversing Buoy for the most part?
Right now, We've just been seeing a lot of trees down. I'm going to take a lap around this cul-de-sac here in just a little bit to see what the other homes are looking like. But trees down on cars, trees down on some roofs, but it doesn't look like we've seen as much damage to homes as what we just saw for this house that we were just inside of. But of course, we're going to continue to talk to the residents around here and see what their homes look like from the storm damage.
We've seen a lot of people wandering by you, around you. Are they neighbors looking at their home, or have some of them just come home, or were most of them there already when this was happening?
Well, Leslie, it really shows just how tight-knit of a community this is, because these are all neighbors that are just driving around, and they're not just looking at the damage, they're checking in on each other. Everybody is asking if everybody is okay. They're seeing if there's anything they can do to help out. Like I said, it really shows just how tight-knit this community is, because the neighbors are just taking care of each other, being quite literally neighborly to each other.
That's exactly what you want to see during times like this, and you also want to make sure that they're careful, and it looks like they're trying to be careful over there, because there's still a lot of uncertainty even after the storm is over. As you all have long talked about, a lot of times there are injuries that occur after everything is done because people underestimate what's happening around them. All right, Michaela, thank you for showing us the vantage point from there. We'll come back to you at some point.
Nice job. Well, you know, what's nice is it's daylight. A lot of times this happens at night and they can't see power lines. So at least we can, you know, that's why we have pictures of the tornadoes because it's daylight. Remember, most tornadoes occur between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. and this was right online. I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but this is the second line that went through that prompted the tornado warnings for us. But earlier we had a line, it was pretty heavy south of us. Around noon, 1 o'clock, those became tornadic in the Richmond area. So we've had two areas that have become tornadic in terms of storms. But right now, we're in pretty good shape. A couple of the storms down toward Charles County, and now finally into portions of St. Mary's County. But it's not severe. It's heavy, but it's not severe. So we are in good shape back to the west. If you want to go outside, enjoy the night, you can. But one thing I noticed about Scott's video, did you notice the trees twisted and all down, and the rocking chairs were right where they were on the front porch? So that's how narrow sometimes our tornadoes are. They're usually 100 to maybe 200 yards wide, if that. Maybe sometimes 50 yards wide if they're really small, as opposed to some of the monsters you see in the Midwest that can be a quarter mile to a half mile wide. So,
I was going to ask you about that because in the background of Michaela's live shot, you saw the basketball hoop. Yep. It was still upright.
Fine, it was fine. Yeah,
but across the street, the tree's down.
Yeah, and so they're super intense, but they're thankfully for us in the east, they're not wide. They're pretty small. I mean, one of the widest tornadoes, of course, was the La Plata, which was 200 yards. That's really wide for us.
Hey, Top, quick question, because you and Caitlin and Michaela have been talking about all week we could have sort of this possibility for severe weather. So it's a good time to remind people that this is the potential this week, and they do need to be ready wherever they are, because we've heard people say it happened so quickly. You had to react so quickly.
You have to have a plan so that when you get the warning, you can react almost without thinking. And if we have another bout, which we will this week, we're going to have them scattered about. A good time to download the app too, so you can allow the warnings to come through and give you as much notice and leeway as we can. So this is Sky 9 over Buoy, and we're trying to see some of the damage. Earlier, this video showed clearly how the trees. There's one tree, fallen toward us. Then there's another tree. Look to the right? To the right, that's fallen a little different angle, okay? So that shows you a tiny bit of variance in the wind. And then I think on this one, okay, there's another tree, that's almost 180 degrees.
Wow.
Okay, so that's clearly 3 different directions, and those two, between the first one we saw and that one, that's a large distance. I mean, not quite opposite, but pretty close. So we've got one, to the, if you look at it as a compass, that one fell northeast. The one to the center now fell sort of east-southeast, and then the one closest to you in the bottom of the screen fell south.
And look at the damage to the roof of that home, kind of to the top right.
Yep.
It's out of view right now, but
these storms are so haphazard too. You see one home that has, the tree that fell on it, some that have trees that fell on cars, others have cars that are unscathed. It's just,
it's a lottery. I mean,
it's chaos.
It's chaos, and thankfully because they're so small that they don't hit every house on the block. But we just saw that house was stripped to the subroof. There was no tar paper on that or shingles. Doesn't even take a tornado to pull off shingles. You can get shingles off at about 60, 65 miles an hour. So I would think these winds had to at least be 85, 90. We'll see. Now they will still go do a survey, okay, to confirm what we kind of already know. But they'll do a survey also to calculate the winds.
And so will that happen tonight? Or
No. It takes an all day, so they have to go tomorrow morning.
So how do you know? I know that sometimes when we have these strong storms, we wait until after to find out if there's a confirmed tornado, the National Weather Service. So how did we know right away that, yes, there was a tornado in the ground in Prince George's and Anne Arundel counties?
Sometimes we say there's a tornado warning and it's Doppler indicated. And so in this case, it was a spotted tornado, and we saw pictures of it. And now looking at Sky 9, we know that it was a tornado with damage and winds causing damage in different directions. We're going to go back to Michaela. Michaela, what do you have for us?
Well, Topper, we are seeing some down power lines now. We're still on Bridal Place, now just a little bit further back in the cul-de-sac, and you can see just in this backyard, we have got trees down and power lines down, no power to this area. I've got the homeowner here, Mark. Mark, what was it like when the storm came through?
I was actually in the kitchen making a sandwich and heard all the ruckus and just kind of took cover and, made sure everybody was okay. And next thing I knew, it just kind of blew through the neighborhood like a tornado, and came out and saw the neighbor's tree and just kind of went to check on everybody, make sure everybody was okay. So.
And that really seems to be what everybody is doing. All your neighbors are out checking in on each other. What does that feel like?
I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we moved here, this quiet cul-de-sac up here, and it's been great, and we have a pretty good tight-knit community here. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. And Topper, like we always say, make sure you are using extra caution around a lot of these down power lines. And of course, EMS is all around this area, just checking in on the neighbors to make sure these power lines aren't causing any more issues than they already would. Top.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we have another hour and a half of daylight around. Hopefully they can mark the wires or maybe even repair some of them. But at least it's not pitch dark and we're at ground zero. At least we have an idea of where some of the wires are down. So good and bad news there. Good news for us, though, there are all the storms. They're well across the bay, except for this one little storm out toward portions of Charles County and northern Calvert County. Not severe, but heavy. But back to the west, we're fine. So we're looking at extremely tropical air mass. Again, this is the most uncomfortable air mass we've had so far in late spring and early summer. I mean, the dew points are they were in the mid-70s, which is crazy for today. And it's going to happen again tomorrow. So more likely we're going to see another round of showers and storms tomorrow. Some could be hefty, and a few could be severe. We don't see it's not a huge potential for tornadoes. Today we had like a 2% chance, but that just goes to show you if it's low, it's still on the table and can still happen in the metro.
Hey, Topper, we're getting some more damage reports. I just kind of wanted to go through them so folks know if they have loved ones in the area, where exactly we are starting to see more of this damage. Just to kind of recap what's gone on over the past several hours, because we did have those two confirmed tornadoes, one in Buoy, the other in Shadyside. So under Buoy, you can see some of the listed reports. We have structures damaged in Buoy. We did get reports of injuries from the National Weather Service, but haven't heard anything farther on that. That was near Annapolis Road and Superior Lane. We've also seen damage reports on Bradford Lane and Stony Brook Drive in the Buoy area. Again, the National Weather Service did confirm that Shadyside tornado, but we haven't heard of any specific damage reports in the area. In total, between these two confirmed tornadoes, right now we're getting reported 455 power outages. We also have several calls about numerous trees down through Beltsville and South Laurel, blocking parts of Odell Road, Springfield Road, and Ellington Drive. So again, if you have loved ones in the area of Beltsville and South Laurel, call them, check in. I think we have some new video here to show you as well. This video of a very clear funnel cloud. Hey Jay, where was this video taken? This was taken in Buoy. So again, one of 2 confirmed tornadoes this evening, and that looks just about as clear as it gets. So that kind of helps answer your question. How do we confirm these tornadoes? It's whenever we see images and videos like this, or rather when the National Weather Service sees images and videos like this. So just about as clear as day that we did have those 2 confirmed tornadoes, both in Buoy and in Shadyside, Maryland.
All right, we'll continue obviously to follow this throughout the night. We'll break in as needed. Follow us. Get the app. You'll know when we know. Top, last word?
There's no warnings right now, and the threat's over in the metro, but boy, we may do something like this again tomorrow.
So get prepared tonight.
So get prepared.
All right.
Thank you,
Cleanup
Top.
begins.
All right.
Thank you for being here
Hard-working
with us.
team.
Yeah, Reese is going to be here at 7 with Open Mic.
And we'll see you at 11.
Good evening and welcome. This is Open Mic. I'm your host, Reese Waters. We have another special themed episode